Now this magazine page layout continues from the previous two training videos I covered in Affinity layout, setting up the right margins, guides, and the main body text. For this instructive training video, we are going to design a polished magazine page spread using paragraph styles, a drop cap as character style, how to place photos into the spread, change their tonality using the very powerful curves, and more. Hi everyone, I am Sarantopoulos, your instructor for this Affinity layout training video. Up next. Before I start working on the magazine layout inside the Pixel Studio, I've got the archaeological statue of Artemis which I need to remove its background. Now looking inside the layers panel, I've got a curve path which I drew using the pen tool for more precise selection. So in order to remove the background, all I have to do is target the statue layer and then click and drag this inside the curve path, and now the background has been removed. I'll save that, and inside the magazine layout document, we will be working on the second page spread. We already have the right margins and guides. We've got the body text and indentation, paragraph styles, which is the foundation for this layout, lectures that I covered in previous training videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and place the statue here by grabbing the picture frame rectangle tool, and from bleed to bleed and the spine of the magazine, I create a rectangle frame. I release that, I grab the move tool, target the picture frame, and up in the context toolbar, I click to replace the image, and that would be with the statue of Artemis, and I click to open. Alright, so we've got some choices here. For example, if you want to reposition the photo within the frame, all we have to do is drag the pen control which is shown in the center of the frame as we hover over it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to bring this to the side a bit. I can also scale the photo within the frame using the scale slider. In addition, I can double click to get into the content itself, which I can see this inside the layers panel. I'll bring this up, bring this to the side, maybe scale this up from the picture frame, just a tad, back on the content itself, and I'm looking something along those lines. Alright, so we've got that. Let's go ahead and lock this temporarily here, and then place a wall texture in the background. Once again, I'm going to grab the picture frame rectangle tool, and from bleed to bleed and the spine of the magazine, I'm going to create a rectangle frame. I'll release that, target the picture frame, and from the context toolbar, I replace the image with the wall texture, and then click to open. Alright, so from the layers panel, I'll click and drag this under the statue, and definitely I'm going to use the scaling slider to scale this down. I double click to get into the wall texture itself within the frame, and click and drag this up like so. So this is what we have so far. Next, we're going to continue by changing the tonality of these two layers using a curves adjustment layer. So now we're going to go ahead and change the tonality of these two layers, since at least on my end, the colors look a bit washed out. So I'll go ahead and target first the picture frame, and specifically the wall texture. And under the pixel menu, new adjustment layer, I'm going to bring up the very powerful Curves Adjustment panel. Before I make any changes here and look inside the layers panel, for this Curves Adjustment layer, I'm going to click and drag this and apply that to the layer below so nothing else gets affected. So I'll start this with the master channel here by adding 2 points to form a gentle S-curve. One in the quarter tones and another one in the 3/4 tones. For the quarter tones, I'm going to reduce some of the highlights, and for the 3/4 tones, I'm going to introduce some shadows. Then I'm going to target the red channel, and I drag the black point to reduce red in the shadows and shift the tones towards cyan, which is the complementary color. Then I'm going to target the green channel, and I'll drag the white point to reduce green in the highlights and shift the tones towards magenta, which is the opposite of green. So let's see, we have before and after. Things are looking good. Let's go ahead and focus on the first picture frame that hosts the statue of Artemis, and then back on the pixel menu, new adjustment layer, and Curves Adjustment panel. Before I make any changes, once again, inside the layers panel, I'll click and drag the Curves Adjustment layer to the layer below so it only applies to that layer so nothing else gets affected. All right, so let's go ahead and make a couple of changes here, beginning with the red channel, which I'm going to grab the white point and increase the reds in the highlights and reduce cyan, which is the complementary color. Then I target the blue channel and I'll move the white point to reduce blue in the highlights and shift the tones towards yellow, which is the opposite of blue. Another thing I'm going to do is basically target the statue itself. And right here I'm going to add a layer effect, specifically an outer shadow. Let me go ahead and zoom in a bit. And for the outer shadow, I'm going to increase the opacity. The radius, you see, we can see the changes taking place right here. And a bit of an offset, so things don't look glued to the backgrounds. So we've changed the tonality of both layers. Next up, we'll work on the heading and the paragraph text for these page spreads. The heading and paragraph texts need to be contained within a frame. First, I'll enable the preview mode, and from a toolbar, I grab the rectangle tool. And from bleed and around this space, I'm going to click and drag to create a rectangle frame. Not sure about the height yet. For now, I'm going to go ahead and keep that. Grab the move tool, target the rectangle frame. No need to have a stroke. And for the fill, I'm going to use black. And I'm also going to lock this layer so I don't accidentally move it. All right, so this is all about the statue of Artemis. I've got some notes here. Artemis, the huntress. So I'm going to copy that. From a toolbar, I grab the artistic text tool, click once, and paste. All right, so let's go ahead and zoom in quite a bit here to see the changes that we're going to make. So for this text and the headline, we'll go ahead and create a new paragraph style. I'll click on it. And it is very important that first we zero out everything, so we start from the very beginning. I've got the notes here. This is going to be the sidebar headline. So I'll paste that. I'll make sure this is not going to be based on anything, so no style. For the font and the font family, I'm going to use Aptos. For the font style, that will be set to bold. And the font size to 14 points. For the color and the font color, that will be white. And for the capitals, I'm going to use all caps. And then I click OK. So let's go ahead and first and center this within the frame here. And let's continue with the sidebar headline by double clicking on it and then jump to the decorations. I'll enable the decoration. We've got decoration 1, and I'm going to focus on the bottom edge, and this is going to be relative to the descent, which basically moves the edge relative to the lowest point of the letters. So let's work on that. First, I'm going to increase the width of the stroke to 2 points. And for the stroke color, I'm going to use a color of my choice, and that will be 66FF99. Press the tab key. We can see right here the stroke, and I'm going to offset that to -2 points, and then click OK. Headline looks good, so I'll go ahead and keep that. Moving forward with the paragraph text, and look inside my notes, this is going to be the corresponding text. I'll copy that, and from a toolbar, I grab the frame text tool. I'll go ahead and create the text. Let's say from here to there, that's the text frame, and paste that. All right, so this, as you can see here, is the font color is black, and that is because it takes from the body text, which is quite normal. So in this case, we want to keep everything from our body text except the font color. So inside the text styles, I'll right click to duplicate the body text, and I'll give it a name of sidebar. There we go. And for the color, I'm going to use white, and then I keep everything as is. The only thing you have to do is click on to select the frame text and apply the sidebar paragraph style. As you can see here, we've got some indications that we have more text to go. So I'm just going to expand the text frame, and we're going to work on this rectangle shape on a later step. But for now, this is what we've got. So I would deselect everything. And actually, I would like to have just this very first character to be a drop cap. So with nothing selected inside the text styles, I click to create a new character style. I'll give it a name of drop cap. For the font color, I'm going to use the same color, the green color that I used earlier for the headline. That will be 66FF99. And let's see, for the position and transform, and for the tracking, I'm going to set this to 100%. For the character, I'm going to use Aptos and display bold, and then I click OK. So in order to apply the drop cap to these paragraphs here, we need to combine the drop cap with the sidebar. That means, again, with nothing selected, I will right click to duplicate the sidebar, and I'm going to give it a name of sidebar drop cap. And the only change here is going to be for the drop caps. I'll enable that. Is going to have a height in lines, let's say 4 lines, and the style will be changed to drop cap, and then I click OK. So in order to make the change, I'll double click to get into the paragraph and just select the very first character and then apply the sidebar drop cap paragraph style. All right, that looks good. Now, with nothing selected, I want to remove this space here. This space basically comes from the body text. So I'll double click on the sidebar drop cap, again with nothing selected. And inside the spacing, I'm going to zero out the first line indents, and then I click OK. For this last step, we'll work on the rectangle shape, extend its height, introduce some transparency, and add a couple of rounded corners. First, I will unlock the paragraph text, since I would like to reduce the space between the paragraph and the headline. I think that looks good. That means I'm also going to reduce the height of the text frame. I will lock this layer so I don't accidentally move it, and target the rectangle shape, which I'm going to extend its height. There we go. All right, so let's continue this. Again, I'm targeting the rectangle layer and looking at the context toolbar. First, I will disable the single radius. And that gives us more choices for the top left corner, the top right corner, the bottom left corner, which I'm going to set this to rounded, and set that to 10%. I'll do the same for the bottom right corner, rounded, set to 10% as well. That looks good. And now for the transparency, I'll target the rounded rectangle layer here. And from the toolbar, I grab the fill tool. Now I'm going to use the fill tool with a gradient, which basically I'm going to define a transition between two colors across the object. So let's say around here, I'm going to click and drag to create the gradient, a linear gradient. And for the second color stop, and look inside my colors here, I'm going to reduce the opacity to 0, and now we've got the transparency. But we can also move these around here. It depends to your liking. I mean, I would like to have some transparency, probably starting around here, so we can see some of the statue to perhaps here. So here you have it, the final page layout, after using so many useful techniques, which will help you tremendously to shape up your magazine.